All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to The Guided Life. I'm your host, Matt Trott. Sitting next to me again, what's up, Judd Hodgen?
Loving life.
Loving life. I'm glad you're here, man, because we're here to talk about your bobcat hunt that we got so fortunate enough to go on this year.
Long time in the process of happening.
So we're going to get into all that great stuff, and we're actually going to watch the footage with you while you're at home or wherever you may be watching this and checking it all out. So we're going to watch the footage with you, and then we're going to break it down kind of in between day one and day two. We're going to come back to studio, kind of recap everything that happened, and then we're going to get you right into day two. And it doesn't take long into day two before we cut a track and we're on it. But before we get into all that, I have a list of stuff that the producers tell me I got to go over first and foremost. So first, I got to give a huge shout out again to The Real Shot. The Real Shot is one of my great sponsors, and they have phenomenal stuff. And right now, The Real Shot has a huge ice fishing sale going on in store and online. So if you are looking for some ice stuff, and right around the corner is Battle on Bagel. So for those who don't know what Battle on Bagel is, it's a huge ice fishing event that happens right here in our backyard, Lake Winnebago. Your brother won a boat one year?
Yeah, 2-3 years ago he won a real nice walleye boat.
Jeez, I know people that have won trucks. So if you are looking for something fun to do, Battle on Bagel is happening. You have to have tickets to fish it, but you're going to need some awesome equipment. So come in or go online to therealshot.com and check out some of that awesome ice stuff. So again, thank you so much to The Real Shot. So, the other thing too, I almost forgot. After 15 minutes, we're website only on this. So I would recommend right now you get right over to tgltv.com to watch this, because that's where I'm monitoring comments, and that's where the rest of tonight's hunt is going to be aired. So if you're on Facebook, I appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, I also appreciate it. Like, subscribe, do all that great stuff while you're over there. But head on over to tgltv.com to watch the continuation of this. So let's get right into this. How many years of points did you have for this tag?
So I believe it was 11 years. Now I think I could have had it in 8 or 9, but having a child, busy winters, a couple years I just went for the points instead of the kill tag.
Yep.
But all in all, yeah, it was 11 years before I called you and said, got the kill tag, man. We're going.
got the kill tag.
So.
And so in this hunt, we're going to find out that we ran the cat with dogs.
Yep.
It's legal in Wisconsin. It's a very efficient. I mean, these things wander. And what I was so surprised is how many bobcats are actually in Wisconsin and in the northern part of Wisconsin as well.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, my intention the whole time was definitely running with dogs. Let's say I was single, no kids, a lax job. It'd be fun to trap one, spend a week or 10 days up there and run a trap line. But I've always liked hunting with dogs. It was my intention from day one to run with dogs, and we were able to do it.
Well, I mean, just kind of a backstory. You've hunted coons with their dogs. I mean,
coons and bears. I've had dogs for, I guess, 20 years now. Mostly for raccoon hunting, and we run a few coyotes.
Well, and when our viewers for The Guided Life first got introduced to you, we were on a pheasant hunt.
Yeah.
By Pheasants by the Fox, and you have bird dogs as well.
Yep.
So you're a guy that's very much a houndsman.
Yep.
And and I being your friend and everything like that, have really grown an appreciation for watching the dogs work. I think it's incredible the way these animals can do it.
Yeah. I think the dogs make a hunt as much as. I mean, it's fun to have game there, but I think it's much more enjoyable when you're doing it with dogs, whether it's hunting labs for ducks or pointers for pheasants or hounds for bobcat like we did. I mean, it's very enjoyable running dogs.
Yeah, and it's something, like I said, I mean, I've really grown to enjoy it, and I think the bear aspect is another thing that would be...
Yeah, you helped me run some baits years ago bear hunting, yeah.
Yeah, and now that one you got over a bait, but I mean that's basically the same thing, right? They run them over they get fresh tracks.
Yep, checking baits, checking for tracks, let the dogs go on a big track and let the chase begin. So.
Let the chase begin. So the way this came about is 11 years worth of preference points.
Yep.
Maybe could have drew it a little earlier, and you're going for the very northern part. What was the exact area you were trying to draw for?
So there's a northern and a southern zone, and forgive me, I forget the highway where it cuts off, but let's say Wapaka is southern zone, right? And you get up north of Point, that's northern zone. So it's just 2 zones. And we went northern zone, kind of planning on hunting that Tomahawk area where our buddy Jason lives. And it kind of fell through. Nobody's fault, it's just life.
Yep.
You know, it just didn't happen. So I was actually called you to go up there, find some tracks, walk in on them, and try predator calling them, which would have been tough. Would have been cool to do, but we would have been one of the few guys I think that would get it done that way. So you got on social media, and Cole actually was the first guy to call me.
Yep.
And I called a few other guys, just, you know, never done it before. And other guys said, hey, call up Cole. And that kind of sealed the deal. So I said, hey, man, if you're in, we're in. He said, come up tomorrow.
Yeah, so we're referring to Mike and Cole Edwards. They are owners of Spruce River Guide Service, and you're going to see a little bit of them throughout this footage. I mean, again, if we're just going to break this down, I'm ready to get into it. I mean, let's not wait any longer here, but I mean, it's day one was, hey, you guys, it's a Friday. If you can get up here right now, we're 5 hours from the valley.
No.
So we're way up there, and you'll kind of see that in some of the footage. We'll break down kind of exactly where we're at. But it's, like you said, Cole at Spruce River said, get up here to tomorrow, which Thursday to Friday.
Yeah, so, yeah.
You got a real good chance. And then as you find out when you watch this now, there was some hiccups a little bit on Friday.
Yeah, that's hunting.
But that's the way it goes. So without further ado, I'm ready. You ready?
You bet.
All right, let's bring on the episode and watch day one of Judd's Bobcat hunt. Excuse me, good sir. I got a question for you.
For me?
Yeah, I have a question for you. So where are we right now and what are we doing?
We are in Solon Springs going after a bobcat tag. It's been an adventure. What are we? 4, 5, 7 hours in? Travel time? So we're waiting for the dog man.
We are waiting for the dog man, and this is a last minute kind of hunt?
Yeah. A lot of things fell through, and I'm not a social media guy, so Matt hooked me up and got a bunch of guys on the bear dog houndsman.
Wisconsin bear and cat.
Yeah, so those guys came through, got some calls, and fit us in last minute. A little dusting of snow last night. Should be all right.
And this is, how long have you been waiting for this tag?
11 years.
11 years. So it's just finally got light enough, and we just got audio enough that we can talk here. So otherwise, it's been a pretty boring ride. We were talking about it. It's been dark the whole time we've been together.
Mm-hmm. Boring? That hurts my feelings. I thought it was exhilarating. These boots are pretty light, ain't they, Matt?
I don't know. Do they feel pretty light? Yeah, they feel pretty light.
Lighter than, about the same as these?
Those ones feel a little nicer quality. Christ, I didn't know I was going to be up here to dress them. All right, good morning, everybody. Interview number 2. The first one, I didn't realize that we didn't have audio. So we are way north of Hayward, Wisconsin. That guy right there has a tag for bobcats. Almost 12 years worth of preference points. Deadline, due date, end of season is January 31st. It is, I don't even know what today's date is. It's the 14th. He reached out. We were talking yesterday, which was Thursday. He's like, hey man, I got a tag. I'm gonna try to fill it. I'm like, well, I want to hang with you on the weekends. He's like, yeah, well, I gotta shoot this bobcat. We're up here. We made it happen. Reached out on some social media pages, got some contacts, lined to hunt up. Guys like, get up here today, which is now Friday. A little bit of snow pushed in. He said track should be fresh. Dogs are itching, raring to roll, which we are hunting with dogs. We're gonna try to make it happen today. I'm tagging along. I'm a cameraman.
I'm the shooter.
He is a shooter. So we're gonna try to get her done. We're gonna get dressed up. We're waiting to meet the gentleman here shortly at JT's One Stop.
Called me out on video.
Oh, you gotta eat it.
I'm gonna get in all kinds of trouble.
right, guys, it is right now Fast and Furious. We are on the road. We just met up with one of the guys from the crew, and he's like, they're on a hot track, so it's put her 4 high and get on these back roads and scream. So we're hopefully we can film the rest of this. We're still waiting on, assurance that that's good to go. But right now the guys are on a fresh track. So like we said on the way up, we just got a little bit of snow up here in northern Wisconsin. It's on like Donkey Kong, bro. Look at the intensity from that guy right there. So, she's camera's coming to the road. She's rough. Give me a little update.
So they cut 2 tracks. Cole's out on the sled, just circling the block, making sure the cat didn't bust through. And we're trying to find Cole right now. So, see where we're at. Let the dogs go on the track. They were boo-hooing for a little bit. They're getting hot now, so just trying to get out in front of them here. Headed down towards the river, I guess. So maybe we cut it off. So the cat track we were on, they were driving it pretty good, and they rolled over on a coyote, chased it across the road. So caught the dogs, and we are searching for a new track to let them loose on. So cross your fingers. All right, well, good news. The other guys kind of out looking, scouting for tracks, found one. So we're heading over to a somewhat fresher hot track. See what the dogs tell us when we get there.
Oh, there's dogs barking. The snow was a little late this morning. They got about a couple inches, but it didn't start happening until about 4 o'clock. So some of these tracks are snowed over, but this is definitely fresh. Here, look at this. You look down in here, that's exactly what we were finally looking for. It's really plain as day. What's the plan, mother chucker?
Go look for another track.
Let's go look. On to the next, eh, boss?
Took it down to the river and turned around and came back.
All right, so that was like, there was a lot of things that happened day one, and I want to kind of get into each one of the tracks, because I mean, we referred to the first track, the second track, the third track. I mean, we started our day, you kind of saw some of the footage, we started at about, well, we got up at like 4.
Yeah, so we left Monroqua at Jake's place, stayed at his cabin Thursday night, cut the drive down a little bit for Friday morning.
Yep.
Yeah, so we left there, what, 4:30?
Yep.
Yeah, and then get up to JT's one stop, and
We were there, we were supposed to meet him by 7:30 that morning.
Yep.
And we were there by 7, I think.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was nice to be halfway up on this trip.
and you had to dress me, so that was good. Got my boots on.
Well, that's what good friends do, you know.
That's
but
right. That's
I
right.
wanted to get into, so it was because there was so much behind the wheel footage on day one.
Yep.
And when we first got up here, most of the communication was with you and Cole.
Correct.
And it was a phone call conversation, it was a text message, and it was, hey, go meet this gentleman at this location. He was out scouting.
Yep. Cole and his dad Mike were out looking for tracks, seeing if the wolves went in there and the cat went that way. It's good. Did he blow through the section? Is there loggers? Is there somebody else hunting? Just doing a lot of work at 4 a.m. waiting for us to get there, you know, to see what's going on, where we should hunt.
And that's the biggest thing is, I mean, those guys were nonstop. I
Yeah.
mean, they're out there before light. They're driving on these back roads, and what we had talked about was the late snow. Kind of when I was on that track.
Yep.
For them, the late snow happened around when they were starting their day.
Yeah, so the problem there is, say it would have snowed at midnight and stopped at 3. Perfect.
Yep.
The tracks you were cutting that morning are hot, hour old, boom, let's go. But it snows at 4, it covers everything up just a little bit. Didn't hide the tracks, but you could have been looking at a 2-day track or a 2-hour track at that point, and
Yep.
they look the same.
And these guys are, Mike, what did Mike tell us? I mean, this was a father-son team.
Yep, so I think Mike said,
40 years?
yeah, like 37 or 40 years, and they breed all their own dogs. That's not bought and stuff. He's had dogs, obviously, all of his life for the most part, and the kids.
Well, he's right around our age, so he's I apologize, Cole, if you're watching, but 25 to 30-ish, somewhere around in there?
Yeah, so he's had dogs his entire life,
Yep.
So, yeah, they're dogmen. Better dogmen than I could ever dream to be.
And why I wanted to bring that up is these guys know what a fresh track looks like.
Yep.
I mean, they do. This is all they do in the wintertime.
Yep.
From when bear season starts to all the way to the end of the bobcat season and into the coyote season.
Yeah, then they roll over and run coyotes.
Yep. So this is all they do. So even for experienced guides like this, it was a little troublesome with that late snow. And like you said, it wasn't much.
Yeah, just enough to cover them tracks.
So the first track we went on, so basically it was, okay, go meet, and we met Whitey.
Whitey at Moose Crossings.
Yep.
Yep. And then it was, get in, let's go there on a track. And that's when we were hauling butt down the logging roads.
We looked like we were going really, really fast.
Yeah.
Well, so we get there, and what you had mentioned during that is Cole was making through. So it's huge blocks of public land that are up in this area.
Yep.
And so what Cole was doing is he had a snowmobile with him, and they were driving the roads that kind of didn't connect, but cut one section off to another one. And I was he on the sled at that time during that first track?
First track, we went right to where Mike had cast the dogs on it.
Okay.
Yep. And second track, he was on the sled.
Yeah, because the first track was the one that we talked to by the river.
Yep.
And that's where we could hear them.
Yeah, so we parked there.
Yep.
You guys could hear him. I can't hear very well, so I didn't hear him as well, but
I'm sorry,
I heard
what?
a bark here and there. Yeah, so they're driving track, and we heard them get a little hot, and they started heading down towards the river, so that's when we jumped in and kind of tried to cut them off or get ready to see if they were running the banks.
So now, that's one thing, because you had some terminology that you dropped a little bit in here, and then you just dropped it again. Like, so the dogs, and Cole can help tell this story too, if you reach out to him. But what do you mean by hot?
So I guess, and I might get this a little wrong, but I always, when you cast the dogs out on a track.
And that means let them out on the track.
Let them out, get them on a track, get them started, or if you cast them into a woods when you're coon hunting. So their initial bark, you'll call like a strike.
Okay.
So dog struck track. And they'll maybe pick at it, brr, brr, just let you know I'm on a track. But then when you hear them either jump an animal or the track starts getting hotter, that'll pick up a little bit in intensity, volume, frequency. So that's what I call driving track. You'll hear them brr, 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 moving, driving that track. And I heard that when they were rolling that first track on the Bobcat.
Yeah, and then that one ended up being a coyote, right?
Yeah, so which happens? I think they hit the river, probably an old track. Things got a little old scent maybe. They probably jumped that coyote, which is fresh scent. And hey, they run coyotes with these dogs too, so them dogs are just doing their job, driving track. And fortunately, we caught them crossing the river, or crossing the road, so we could grab the dogs and pull them off that coyote and not trace. Not that a coyote's trash, but when you're hunting bobcats, you want to stick on bobcats.
Because you keep the dogs on the right scent. There's no confusion happening like that. Plus, for these guys, I mean, Cole's a guarantee. I mean, he said it's a guarantee hunt, right? Like, I'm not saying you're going to get one, but I'm working.
If you don't get one, you don't have to pay them.
Right.
Yeah.
Is basically what he told us. Now, I don't know if that's the way it is for all of them, but that's how confident they felt going into day one. They're like, you get here, the conditions are setting up on Friday with the snow that's pushing in.
Yep.
Everything is lining up. You should be successful on day one. And
we jinxed ourselves because, I mean, he was confident. Everybody who pointed to me was confident. The weather was right. Remember when we were having, some beverages with John and Jake talking the night before? I'm like, stop. We're going to jinx this.
Yep.
And big deal, it didn't happen on day one, but we had a blast.
Well, I don't necessarily think the hunt was jinxed. I just think it's hunting.
Yeah.
It's hunting, it's fishing. There's no guarantees in any of this.
A little bit unfortunate weather, which we needed snow, so glad we got it because it helps seeing fresh tracks, but it just came at the wrong time. And it was a little cold, a little blowy,
Yep.
But hey,
That's the way it goes.
Yep.
So then the second track you had mentioned when we got into the footage, that's the one where we hit the river. You referred to the dogs, I think you said hitting the river, right?
Yeah, so track one, they ran to the edge of the river, ran that coyote across the road.
Yep.
We caught them. Hey, let's go to another track. Because they had guys constantly scouting, even while we were driving tracks, they were looking for more fresh tracks. So Cole gets the CB call or the cell call, got another track. We roll over there. That's where I think you got some footage of that fresh track.
Yeah.
Which a coyote and a bobcat track are pretty similar. Dogs will show their toes. Cats don't because they're retractable or whatever. So similar track, just no toenails,
Yep.
So anyway, cast the dogs again.
Because that was the freshest track that we seen that day.
Yes.
On day one.
Yep, track two was definitely the most fresh.
Yep.
Yeah, so Cole cast the dogs. We hear them driving a little bit. Never got crazy, hot, but they took it, and I can't remember, say a mile, to a river, and they just turned around and came back. So open water maybe, we weren't in there, but something happened on that river, and the dogs turned around, and that's a good dog. If they can't continue it, they're not going to just ruin your day by trying to find whatever.
Yep.
They came back to their handler.
Well, and he knew exactly because these are all GPS collared dogs.
Yep.
And when the dogs are on the trail, we would sit by him and we could watch.
Yeah, which is a very fun part. It tells you average mile an hour, distance. There's tree switches on them, so if they tree and you can't hear them, it gives you a signal.
Yep.
So, yeah,
It's incredible, the technology that's...
Well, remember when we used to coon hunt and I had the antenna in the pinger? I mean, holy smokes, is this a lot more fun with these GPS collars.
Well, and you could, and like you said, I mean, it was just crazy how you could literally see the dogs working back and forth, making sure they're on the trail. But in amongst those, that second track, there was wolf tracks too.
Yes, we saw a ton of wolf tracks.
We saw a ton of wolf tracks.
Healthy wolf population.
There's a very, and again, if you're looking for somebody, these guys, if there are tags available, I mean, if you like it or hate it, they run wolves as well.
Yeah, they did one time when it was legal.
When it was legal, I mean, for a day, yeah. So I mean, that just shows you, again, like the level of experience that these guys have, Mike and Cole over there. So fresher track, amongst wolf tracks, there was one thing that, when I went through some of that footage was, there was a lot of rabbit in that area. That was more of a cutover. There was a lot of like popple in that area. There was a lot more rabbit droppings, and grouse love the popples, that early spring stuff.
We actually saw one or two grouse when we were there.
And then rabbits like that area too. So that only made sense why there was a high concentration of tracks right there.
Plenty of prey. Predator's gonna go hunting, right?
Well, and there was way more snow that far north. I mean, there wasn't like 5-6 feet, but there was two and a half feet. For sure.
You were trudging through snow. I mean, you can see on the footage when them dogs are going through there, it's definitely up to their belly.
Yeah. So this is all day one, right? We caught 3 different tracks.
Yep.
Day one. So we had the fresh one, kind of what we thought was a fresher track down by the river, ends up being a coyote.
Yep.
We hit the second track, the freshest actual track that we've seen. You've seen the footage in that, or you saw the footage in that. That one on GPS we could see they went to a river. Yep. Whatever happened down there, we don't know. Only the dogs know that story. But they actually came back after half an hour maybe.
Yeah, they worked it good, and they probably just lost the trail. And like I said, thank goodness they come back because you're not wasting your day chasing dogs.
But as much as we started our day, like right around 8, I think, is when we started going to the first set of tracks. Yep. Now we're rolling on, it's 11, I think it's like 11:30, almost noonish already.
Yep.
And next thing you know, you could just feel like at this point, not to say like we were kind of losing hope, but the conditions weren't setting up in our favor.
Yeah, we tried hard and it didn't work. At that point it was kind of like, all right, tomorrow's another day, right?
Tomorrow is another day, but on the way to that, like, okay, because now you got to remember, if they're starting around 4 o'clock, I mean, we're already 8 hours into the day.
Yep.
Now that fresh track that maybe is 8 hours old.
Yeah, at the newest, yeah.
At the newest, right, and it determined. So, all right, we caught up to each, we're with each other, we're with Cole, and he's like, you know what, guys, what's the plan for tomorrow?
Yep.
And we're like, well, we're here.
Yep.
we're hunting. You know, going up there, we were so confident in day one, we didn't line up lodging.
No, yeah, it was.
we didn't bring any food. We didn't. I mean, it's not like we were roughing it by any means, but we're just like, hey, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, well, I mean, Thursday from the initial phone call, it was 2 hours. Pack up, I'll pick you up on the way, and we're going. So, regardless, I mean, we were there to hunt, but it wasn't a lot of time to pack and plan for the next day. So, which was fine. But what's going on here is all right. We're done on day one. You guys gonna stay for tomorrow? Absolutely. We're here. Let's go hunting.
Yep.
Perfect. Let's run to Moose Crossing, I believe was that bar, and grab a burger.
But on the way there, though, we cut another track.
Yeah. So let's go get lunch. So we're driving down a 2-lane highway. Busy enough, especially for up there.
Was it 8?
I can't.
8 or
I
16?
Can't remember. Yeah, so driving down a 2-lane highway, and I think Mike spotted a cat track crossing the road. So we wheeled over, threw the flashers on, and Cole cast him in on that track along that highway. And they kind of picked around on that track for a little while, and then, like a good dog does, track ran cold. They came back to us. Pretty easy, catch them, load them up, and then we went and had lunch and kind of planned for.
Well, and that's exactly what it was. It was strategizing. I mean, these guys were like, okay, hey, you know what? Let's plan again for tomorrow. They were nice enough. They put us in contact with I think it was it Swanson's? We'll find out here as we get into day 2.
Yeah.
But it's okay. So we went and grabbed some food. I mean, it was all of a sudden it's like this is real deal, like Holyfield type stuff. I mean.
Yep.
And the conditions, again, there was a little talk of snow going into, now this is Saturday.
Which is really lucky, because that fresh snow was a huge help.
And, I mean, so you think about it, the team, let's say the team, they covered a lot of miles on Friday.
Yep.
They've been covering a lot of miles the whole time of the season. And they're successful. Was it 30-something cats?
Yeah, it was over 30
already.
Yeah, over 30 cats they had killed already. So.
And for those who haven't been to this part of northern Wisconsin, like it's beautiful up there. I did not expect the terrain. I guess I live in a box. I don't get up there very often, but
yeah, a lot of paper ground.
Paper ground. There's like some oak savanna type cover. There's maple ridges. There's everything you want, and it's a heavy. Paper country, like you were saying, so there's a lot of harvest going on up there as well.
Yep.
So we're up there, we're getting ready, baby. It's we get in our place, it's lining up for day 2. We're gonna get into that, but again, I mean, this is the part where if you haven't gone over to TGL TV, you better do it right now, because this is, again, just as much as day 1 was fast and furious, day 2 was extremely fast.
That was
and
double
furious.
time. Yeah.
It was. Same kind of plan. Cole said, I'll contact you guys.
Yep.
We'll be in touch. Be ready to go. All of a sudden, the bat phone rang, and it was, we are ready to go, and it is go time for sure. And it doesn't take long once we get out there for this to go down.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about day 2. It was awesome.
All right, so let's go to day 2 and the continuation of Judd's Bobcat hunt in northern Wisconsin.
Day 2, we are waiting for the call from Cole. So yesterday, Friday, it was around like 9:10, a little bit of windy. It was cold. About 8 o'clock, we got on a good hot track. Dogs take it, strike, pretty hot, pretty hot, pretty hot. Getting excited. They hit a river, rolled over on a coyote, ran it across the road, which happens. All right, track 2, get a call, cross the road, drop the dogs, boop, 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 they take it, hit an open river, can't cross, come back. Track 3, kind of same deal, they drove track, hot, hot, hot. It's like a 9-hour track at this point. Dogs turn around and come back. We're like, all right, time to be done, 1 o'clock, had a bad snow at like 4 a.m. yesterday, so that was part of the problem. Not knowing how fresh these tracks are. On the way to grab lunch, cat crosses the highway, we see the tracks, cast the dogs in again, kind of the same story. They took it, came back around, just not hot enough. So, day 2 today, big difference. 10 yesterday, -4 right now. We haven't left the cabin, we're waiting for the call from Cole. They're looking for fresh tracks, seeing what sections they're in. So if the wind isn't bad, we're good with -4, but if it's blowing hard, it's going to be miserable today. So Matt and I camped out in a nice little cabin here in Solon Springs, and just getting ready, geared up here, and Day 2 is gonna kick off.
You got everything? There's no turning back now. We up right now, man!
So, new part of the country up here. I don't know, must be 8:30 or so. And cut a fresh track right here. So they're waiting for the rest of the crew and they'll cast the dogs and hopefully we can get one up a tree today. But there's a soda can and there's that cat track. So set them on that track 20 minutes ago-ish, and they jumped the cat. Sound pretty hot on it, so just waiting for them to line out and get a direction of travel here, and hopefully we're heading in soon.
I'll throw him. Nice cat. Yeah, if you want it, absolutely.
Man, I'm glad we didn't freaking go home yesterday.
No, dude, we were committed.
Yeah. Well, we didn't have the thought, but I'm just saying, you know, it's like,
After 11 years, dude,
This is how it should have went yesterday. It was just how yesterday was a bad day.
you're dealing with nature and live animals. You know what I mean?
Yep. Was that a zip tie you had?
No.
Oh, I thought I
sorry.
seen a zip tie.
I'll carry it all the way out. Once it's in the truck, that thing ain't going nowhere.
No. Yeah, that's a nice cat.
it is a nice cat. What do you think? It's about 25 pounds?
Yeah, 25 pounds. Yep.
Well, success at the end of a hot track. Cole's dogs put it up in what? Or baited up in half hour?
Yeah, it wasn't much. Wasn't very long.
Half hour and had it bait up on the ground and able to shoot him with a 22 here and put him down. Frickin' time of my life. It was awesome.
That was a good hunt.
What's the name of the biz again, Cole?
Spruce River Guide Service.
Perfect.
Do you think we should mount that cat or should we make a rug out of it?
Mount it.
You want to mount it? Okay. Sounds good. I had your lucky charm with me, buddy.
What?
I had your lucky charm with me. It did the trick just like the Texas buck.
Okay.
All right. We'll be home probably around supper, okay?
What?
I said I'll see you around supper time tonight, okay?
Okay.
All right. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Best camera work you've ever seen. Eat your heart out. Just so you know, Fixed Productions, that's $500 a day.
Best camera work ever.
Best camera. I had to give myself a shout out, but holy man, I mean, from waking up we even slept in on Saturday,
Yeah.
7. I think we were up at 7 to all of a sudden by 9 o'clock, it's over with.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And that's exactly how, I mean, this whole entire thing, when it's from start to finish, it was fast and furious.
And you know, day one was kind of good to experience. You know, say we went up there and shot that cat at 9 o'clock day one. I mean, I've been on hound hunts before, so I've experienced that, but for like, you haven't really much.
No.
You know, like this is the way it is, that's too easy, you
Yep.
know? So it was nice to experience that, see some more country, hang out with the guys. And then day 2 was full throttle.
Well, and that's a really great point, because I think that's what is the idea behind the guided life, right? It's to show off exactly what happens. It's as raw and as real as we can make it. I mean, from us going live out there to us kind of recording stuff, I try to, when we're picking through this footage, I try to make it as raw and as real as it possibly could. And with every hunting trip, with every fishing trip, whatever, I mean, there's times where it may be down here, and there's times where it's up here. And I love how you put that in that perspective, because we got to meet Cole, we got to meet his dad Mike, I mean, we got to meet the gang that they're with, we got to see a part of Wisconsin that I don't get to see very often and appreciate the state for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But like you said, it made Saturday, even though it happened so fast and furious, it was all the more rewarding.
Yeah, it kind of got the full experience packed into 2 days. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it that we'll never see or know about. But for us, for our weekend hunt, that was fantastic.
It was extremely fantastic. So kind of let's just start from we wake up, and it was cold on Friday.
Yep.
But when we wake up, we're seeing, I mean, we were able to, that Swanson's place was really nice.
Yep.
It was just perfect where you kick your feet up, take a nap, you know, go to sleep, eat some food, and then be ready to go. But we're watching the weather reports, and it's negative. You know, when we went to bed that night, I thought it was like -10 outside.
Yeah, it was cold. And that morning, straight temp was -4.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Waking up. Luckily for us, and I think that helps the hunt too, there wasn't a whole lot of wind right away Saturday morning.
Yeah, the prior day was pretty windy. That was cold.
Yep.
You know, that wind blowing on us. But yeah, Saturday morning was calm.
So with the wind being as strong as it is, does that affect the track or the scent that's on the track as well?
Yeah, I mean, that scent cone, just like anything, when you're out bow hunting and that wind's blowing that scent way out, I mean, it's a little harder for them to follow. But those dogs are quality dogs. I mean, they can work their way through that. But it does make it harder.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's one thing too. Again, you're good at this. You should have your own show.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about
year.
when we get to the cat point. I want to talk about how well behaved those dogs were when we get up to that point.
Yep.
I mean, it was unbelievable. But okay, so we're right away, and it was again. We went back to the gas station, made sure we had enough fuel,
Got our super healthy breakfast.
got a super healthy breakfast sandwiches. You know, and when it was that cold that morning, too, being layers, because we didn't know if we were going to have to go 3 miles back in some of this stuff,
That's
or
the thing, in 2 feet of snow. Yeah.
we had our snowshoes along with us. We had, you know, the boots, the Nordman boots. We both kind of wear those.
Yep.
The hikers. You know, you saw some of that was some of the Blackfish gear that I was wearing, and the reason I like that is because I could layer light underneath it. But that wasn't good enough to protect the snow, the water, all that stuff. And even underneath that, I wore like a gaiter.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to get snow inside their boots or whatever it may be. So, I mean, that's just, it was cold, but quality clothing, you know, is going to help you in those situations.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of light layers because while you're standing there waiting for things to happen, you get cold. So it's nice to have them on. But when it's time to go on a track, you can peel them off and away we went.
So we get that call, and it literally was, we're here, and I think this all really started to take place at like 8 that morning.
Yep.
There was the call, is meet me here. We got there about 8:30.
Yeah, so there was a guy, and I forget his name, who had found that track. He was waiting for us. We met Cole and wheeled up there.
Yep.
And right from the get-go, the whole feeling was different. You know, the dogs were pumped. The track was clearer. They had put a pop can next to it, so you knew it was a quality-sized cat.
Yep.
I mean, it was like, when it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and you could feel it that morning.
What about when you know, the soda can kind of reminded me too, is when you guys were like, at some point you were feeling the tracks, like, so explain that with like the way the snow would crust over, or what were you guys actually looking for?
I mean, I'm no tracker, but you know, that fresh track before the snow melts the edges down and stuff, you can just tell a nice crisp fresh track from that morning versus the night before. And I always like to put, you know, like a fingerprint next to it and say like, well, that's 1 minute old, and you compare it to an hour or two. But those were absolutely fresh tracks.
Well, and so the area where they cut this track, it was being logged at the time.
Yep.
So it was actively being logged. So there's machinery in there. There was machinery in there on Friday, and there's machinery and trucks in there on Saturday as well.
And we had, not we, Cole and his crew had checked that trail Friday and knew that there was not that track there. And then they check it Saturday morning. So we absolutely, snow or no snow, that was a very good indication, because that track actually crossed our tire tracks from the day before.
From the day before.
And then other interesting thing is there was wolves going into the section just opposite of the way that cat went.
I've never seen a wolf in the wild, but seeing all the wolf tracks that we
crazy.
saw, and I mean we saw, deer wise, what did we see? I don't know, maybe 15 deer those 2 days, and we weren't
maybe.
looking for deer.
Yeah.
But there wasn't a whole lot of deer sign in areas either.
And every trail we were on, I mean, those wolves were running down those logging roads playing like your pet
Puppies,
dogs would. They're
yeah.
rolling around, and their tracks are huge.
Yeah, they are monstrous. And when we found this track, or when they found this track, we can't take credit for any of that.
Those guys did all the work.
Those guys were hunting hard. They actually said that when we followed the track along the road, it actually went to a tree.
Porcupine tree.
There was so it was, I don't know if it was necessarily hunting that porcupine, but it
Probably
was
checking for a meal. They eat them. They're one of the few predators that's good at it. They flip them over and kill them through their stomach.
So now which is, again, just, they're awesome. They're awesome animals. So 8:30, crew starts showing up.
Yep.
Right around we started the track at 9 o'clock. That's what it was.
So we rolled up like 8:15, 8:30.
Yep.
Here's the track. Went that way. Talked about it. Rest of the crew wheels in, and then it was Cole came, and then you could just switches on. It's go time.
Yeah, and like you mentioned earlier, even when Mike showed up and the rest of the crew showed up, the day had a different feeling. They knew that this was a fresh track.
Yep.
It just, at this point, it's how far and how long is it going to take for the dogs to bay up the cat.
Yep.
And so you see in the footage there, the dogs are released. They ended up, what was it like? They let two go, Cole's two best dogs.
Kind of his lead dogs. And you can see when he's walking them in, they're pulling on the collar and striking that track. Right there, you were like goosebumps, like it's happening.
Yep.
You could tell it was fresh, hot track.
And then Mike is shown in the footage. Mike's letting off. Now I think that dog was a younger dog.
Yep.
Kind of getting the experience of Cole's older dogs.
Yep.
And again, like, it just shows you like that's what these guys do. They have full-time jobs to pay for their hobby, basically, right? And I mean, they train them, they run them, they do everything. So these guys are extremely knowledgeable. They are a class act, and they work their tails off. But like you said, dogs are pulling. And I like to refer to it, once we were in there, it's like Blair Witch Project, baby.
Yep.
Because
thick timber, deep snow, and we're moving fast.
We're moving, but before we actually, so they took the cat's tracks one direction.
Yeah, so we heard them jump it, and they were driving off to our right, and I don't know which direction that was. Doesn't matter.
Yep.
But they were driving fast, and on the GPS screen, you could see they're moving like 10 mile an hour, 8 mile an hour. They're picking along fast. So Cole grabbed us, and we tried to get out in front of them to see if we could get them crossing the road or maybe circling near the road or something. So we jumped out ahead of that track.
And that's when you can see us. We're standing off the road, getting ready to run in. But I wanted to ask the question: is why did you bring a shotgun?
So yeah, buckshot. Number 4 shot, buckshot is the load, and the 12 gauge. Actually, the CZ I bought from you guys. So regardless, but it's a good gun.
Yep.
So yeah, 12 gauge buckshot. So what happens? Let's say we got in front of them and they cross the logging road, and I have a clear shot. If the dogs are 20 feet behind, I'm gonna probably shoot that cat while it's crossing a dirt logging road, obviously not on blacktop.
Right.
So that's one reason. And the other thing is, if that cat doesn't tree or bay up, they'll kind of run circles, and those dogs will just keep pushing them. Well, if you get in the right point in the woods, you can cut that circle off, and a 22 pistol is going to be hard to hit a running cat. So you just liken your odds a little better of making a hit with buckshot.
So I want you to show this, because this is what you used right here.
Yep.
Talk about, I call it the Joker gun, but talk about what you got sitting in front of you.
Yeah, so this is a 22 I bought years ago. It is absolutely empty, cannot be fired. There's no bullets in here.
Yep.
Bought this off of a friend of mine for trapping, coon hunting. It's an H&R 22. I believe it's a 12 or 14 inch barrel.
Why don't you lift it a little higher so people can definitely
so
see it? There it is.
H&R 22, I think it's 12 or 14 inch barrel. I like this gun. I got a little lazy coon hunting carrying a rifle around, so this goes in your holster. It's big enough, long enough barrel. It keeps the velocity, and you can make good kill shots with it. Longer barrel, a little more accurate. I've shot it a lot. I'm not going to shoot a quarter out of the air, like a real pistol guy, but I can kill animals with it, right?
Yep.
So easy to pack. It's deadly. Put it on my hip, and away we go. Easy to carry through the woods. And it came in, perfect for this hunt. Didn't end up needing the buckshot. They had that cat bait up maybe 6-8 yards away.
Yep.
And I didn't want to damage that hide. Shoot it 6-8 yards with buckshot, and you're going to have a lot of damage.
11 years worth of preference points to end up, the cost of the hunt, which was very reasonable for what it ended up being. The goal is to utilize it in the way you want. And we had the conversation with you and your son, Tristan. He's a lot like you. He barely heard you talking about it. He asked what a couple different times, but that's it. So we go down, the cat's over here. Now they're pushing it, and they ended up pushing that cat virtually down the same trail almost that we released them on.
Yeah, pretty much back to where they jumped it.
Do you think that's something that's common, or just it happened to be that way?
So, we talk about how much they circle a lot, and I am not an expert on bobcat. I'm just picking this up from Cole and Mike. So they're running those circles. So I think they jumped them, hot enough track, they're driving it, let's get in front of them. That cat made that circle, right? Those dogs are on it hard enough, and cats don't have the lungs like a canine. So they have fast bursts of energy. They stalk, get close, and then it's a quick kill. They're not running them down like a wolf or a coyote. So these dogs that Cole and Mike run are in very good shape. I think the snow was deep enough. They're driving that cat hard enough. When that cat started making that circle, it was breaking through. And I think they tired
Breaking
it
through
down.
the snow, you mean?
Yeah. So the cat, their skill set is run on top of the snow with those big paws.
Yep.
Stalk rabbits and grouse, get close and pounce on them. But when a dog's running them and they're running for their life, essentially, they're not so careful. They're breaking through.
Right.
So 2 feet of snow, they're breaking through. The dogs are pushing them hard. Runs out of lung capacity. Cole mentioned cats think they're tough. So that cat's going to bay up, and I'm going to fight these 3 dogs because I'm tough.
Right.
It just so happened on that circle, he ended up getting caught pretty much where they jumped it.
Yeah, because we didn't really map it or anything, but we figured it was only 300 yards or so off the road.
Yeah, where we had to walk into.
Where we walked in. And again, I thought that was interesting that where we cut the track is where the cat, virtually the same spot, the cat. Obviously 300 yards off the road, but it was almost the same exact area.
Yep.
And then we get up to, and the one thing that is, I'm walking up, I'm trying to do my best at keeping you guys in frame, but the whole time I'm looking up.
Yep.
I'm expecting, from everything you've seen, everything you've kind of heard, we're expecting the cat to be up in a tree. And then all of a sudden, we get up to close enough to the dogs, you can hear there's a little scrum going on.
Yep.
And then we're like, whoo, there it is.
Standing on the ground.
And there was perfect trees in that area. There was some popples, there was some evergreens and things
it
like
had
that.
every chance to tree.
Every chance, but like you said, it chose to fight.
Yeah. And when we say fight, we never saw them rolling, tangled up fight. Those are bay dogs. They're face barking it, and the cat would swat at them, and they'd jump out of the way. It wasn't like a all on there stretching this thing trying to kill it, which awesome control on those dogs and good training, because I own some dogs that would have been in on top of that cat and it would have been a mess.
Yeah,
You
and
know, which I was impressed with them dogs.
well,
doing
and that goes
face
right
part.
into the behavior thing. I mean,
Yeah,
for them dogs to, okay, here you are, whether it's you're going to take the cat or you're not going to take the cat, they were almost like house dogs at that time.
When we got there and drew the gun, they backed off. And what was interesting, you know, your cat's in the middle, say, and those three dogs, you know, one was barking towards its tail, one was towards its face. It would kind of charge them, but those dogs just kind of, they knew to bay it up and hold it there. It was impressive.
So the one thing that we talked about going into the opportunity, if we were going to get the opportunity, is what's a good cat? Is it worth it if you're on the cat to take the cat and all that kind of stuff? So, you know, Cole basically said it's up to you.
Yep.
And that's what we heard. All of a sudden, we roll up and there's the cat. Cole looks at you. You want to take that cat, and you're like, I don't know. What is it? A good one?
Yeah. So that's the first cat I've seen. I've seen some in Texas. Different geography, different. I mean, same species, but a little different size class, right? So up north, there's 40-pound dogs there. There's a cat, pretty fluffy fur, looks 3/4 their side. I'm like, heck yeah, I want to kill this thing. But Cole does this every day. He's seen how many hundreds of cats. So I was really valuing his opinion. And Cole said, yeah, it's a good cat. Because he asked me, you want to take it? I said, I don't know. You tell me.
You tell me.
He said, yeah, it's a good cat. That was all I needed to hear.
That was all, and then it was. I mean, you saw the rest of the footage. It was over as quickly as it started for the most part. I mean, humane. Everything happened. You know, and then the next thing you know, it was posed pretty.
Yeah, I mean, at 6 feet, I was able to take a headshot, and that cat, it was instantly dead.
Instantly,
And what the impressive part there is, most of the time you shoot an animal that dogs have bait up, they're going to dive in and start chewing on it. They stayed there till Cole let them get a little sniff, a little reward, but they never jumped in and tried to stretch it or anything, which was, again, I can't speak highly enough of those dogs.
Well, like we heard with, you know, Tristan, I mean, it's either do you want the hide or do you want the full mount?
Yep.
You know, either way, you still need the hide, and the hide's really not as good as if it's got a bunch of puncture wounds in it.
No, a big tear. I mean, you can sew them up. You know, you say a hole the size of a dime or a nickel, you can sew up pretty easy, right? But if they grab it and pull it apart and you got a big rip in it, there goes your once every 8 or 10 year hide.
Yep. The thing people got to understand is, I mean, this is a controlled hunt. The DNR puts the number of tags out there, everything like that. So this is all part of, you know, management.
Yep.
100%. This is management. I mean, everything's got to have a balance to it. And if you love grouse hunting up in that area, if you love pheasant hunting up in that area, or not pheasant, rabbit hunting up in that area, you know, the population needs to be controlled. So that's what we did, and that's what we were successful at.
Well, and I mean, not that they're a huge nuisance or causing all kinds of trouble, but when we were having lunch at Moose Crossing, there were some folks in there saying a cat was stalking their little toy breed of a dog. You know, a bobcat had caught one. So, I mean, it's not a nuisance, but you want to keep it in check.
Yep.
I mean, that's all part of the DNR's plan. So.
Well, and if you look at the way like feral cats sometimes get out of control, everything needs to be balanced. So, so that was I think she was right around 25 pounds. It was a female.
Yep.
You know, but the other question I had is when we were watching some of that footage is the tag placement.
Yep.
So he went up through the gum and out the eyelet, and why is that?
So you shoot a cat, and forgive me, I didn't read the regulations right before I came here, but when you shoot a cat, you have to get that tagged, I believe, within 24 hours, right?
Yep.
And then within, I believe it was 7 days of the season closing. And don't quote me, read your own tags if you go hunting.
Read your yep.
But I called my local warden right away. Higgins, good guy, I've known him for years. I went online, tagged my cat, you know, through the website. And then the reason that tag you cut up through the jaw and go through the eye is when you register it with the DNR, they put a CITES tag in there, which is a little bigger tag.
Okay.
And that's just a place, there's no antler to put it around, and you don't want to wreck the ear because you're going to most likely mount it. So that's a natural hole in the mouth and out the eye where you can put that CITES tag.
Yep.
So it just worked well.
But not only does Cole and they have to report all the information, you had to report some information too.
Absolutely.
On that cat.
So county, what'd you kill it with? How many tracks did you cut? Was it an incidental kill like the dogs caught it, or did you intentionally kill it? Did you trap it? There was a lot of information on there, which I'm glad they do it because we saw 6 tracks, I think. There's a healthy population. We were able to enjoy our hunt. I mean, they're doing, in my opinion, I think they're doing a wonderful job.
Oh, I
on
agree.
managing bobcats. So, but that information is where they obviously can do their job.
Yep, and the guys were kind of informing us, so if anybody's interested in a bobcat, obviously it's a preference point system. Different zones are different numbers of points. Usually the southern zones are a little easier to draw.
Southern zone would be a fairly quick, probably like a 2 or 3 year turnaround.
Yep.
Especially first season.
Where Cole and Mike run, they're in that northern zone.
Yep.
And, you know, they were saying that sometimes you can get a tag up there in less than 10 though, right?
Yeah, so I think most of the time it's around 8 years. Like I said, there were some things in life, so I went for another preference point rather than a kill tag. But October 26th to like December 26th is season 1 for Northern Zone. Cole had mentioned if you want to do it again, put in for first season. We get snow in November all the time. Come hunt first season, and you have a little better luck, maybe 4 years. Second season, which is December 26th to January 31st, I think everybody wants that season because the holidays are over. Deer hunting's over for the most part, other than a week or two archery. You know, trapping's winding down. Everybody has a little time then, so I think a lot of folks go for that second season, and everybody wants to go up north to get the experience. That's why you have that 8, 9, 10-year wait.
Yeah, and it's the experience, the whole entire thing. The snow, the tracks are usually a little bit better and easier to identify, but then you got the amount of snow you got to deal with. But those guys were saying that with the dog portion of it, it's a little more intense earlier on because there's less snow, which makes for a better run as well.
Yeah, so the cats are a little more mobile, a little more agile. They're not getting worn down as fast because they're not plowing through that snow. So I remember Mike mentioned it, man, you should come for season 1. We'll really get you a good chase. And for a dog person, that chase, hearing that trail play out, listening to the hounds, you know, driving track, that's gold right there. So the longer the chase, I mean, you want to get to the end of the trail, right? But it's enjoyable to be a part of that chase.
And if anybody was wondering too, the other thing, the part of the chase is, you know, this cat was on the ground.
Yep.
And we were surprised that it was on the ground, but when we talked to those guys, out of the 30 or whatever cats they got this year, only 6, I think they said, were bayed in it, or up, and I'm sorry, treed.
Yeah, a handful treed. The rest, Cole said, cats think they're tough, they want to fight.
And that starts in the October period when the first season starts.
Yeah.
So even when there's less snow or no snow or whatever.
Yeah, and if say you ran that first week and some of the tougher trees were hanging onto their leaves yet, I mean, a cat could run up there and virtually disappear, but they want to stand and fight, which is impressive, I guess.
The way those dogs were, I wasn't trying to pick a fight with them. So I mean, it was extremely awesome. I highly recommend it if you are looking for somebody to go with. And we talked to just the way this whole hunt kind of set up. We talked to a number of great guides in that area.
Yeah, and it happened so fast that I apologize for forgetting some names, but you had given me 5 contacts, and I called every one of them, and every guy was really humble, gracious, willing to help.
Yep.
You know. There's a lot of good guys up there that'll guide for you, but I mean, I would recommend Cole every day of the week.
Yeah, and it was, you know, Cole was the first one that reached out, and I just said, here's all his information, and everybody else did the same thing. But you know, we are on our way up there. We already had decided to go with Cole and Spruce River Guide Service, and then we had somebody else had reached out on the way up north, and they're like, hey, I just had an opening. My hunter's vehicle broke down. If you guys are still looking. And we said, well, hey man, we're excited. We booked with Cole, and he's like, you'll have a really top-notch hunt.
And I actually had a friend of mine had a tag, and I gave him their number, and he just, you know, life happens, didn't work out. But the houndsmen on that website, all wonderful people. That was awesome.
Yeah, a huge shout out to everybody that reached out to me. I believe that's the Wisconsin Bear and Cat page, and I got that information because one of the head-to-head fishermen, Cody Shaw, who was successful this year, told me to go on that page for contact information. So again, everybody, thank you so much for reaching out to me and helping Judd be successful on his tag. Now, I haven't applied for a bobcat preference at all.
You're gonna start.
I'm gonna start. I've started to apply for my bear stuff. I mean, it is the part of the hunt that maybe I wasn't a fan of with the dogs at first. knowing you and seeing all the things that you and I have been to, it is the real deal, and it makes you a fan of that style of hunting.
Yeah, so I love hunting everything, right? We rabbit hunt, squirrel hunt, raccoon, we trap, we hunt pheasants, ducks, geese, whitetail, archery, muzzleloader, rifle. And it's all a ton of fun. I mean, that's why we continue to do it. But just to add another aspect of the thrill of the chase with the dogs and a whole, another scenery up north, I mean, it's worth it. I both my kids, they're a year and a half and 7, they both got preference points.
They're ready to roll.
I'm pumped when they get old enough and ready to go.
Yeah, so speaking of dogs, we got to probably talk about doing that pheasant hunt. I still got to shoot one of those pheasants.
Oh, with the old recurve.
With the recurve. We got to have some redemption on that.
I'm game, whatever you
and
want.
We're almost out of February, so we got to start planning this real quick.
Yep.
But all right, that's awesome, everybody. Thanks so much for watching this. This was a lot of fun to put together, and I appreciate you for allowing me to be a part of it.
Hey, it goes both ways. Kind of made the hunt having a guy there to share it with and lay it down on film, which is awesome. We'll watch that for years.
Oh, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And then if you wouldn't mind, while you're on the social media pages, I mean, like and share and subscribe, not only to The Guided Life, but subscribe to The Real Shot. Again, I got to give a huge shout out to The Real Shot. Reminder, they do have an ice sale going on. It's just in time for Battle on Bagel. Sturgeon spearing is still going on. Warm clothing, I know, is a big part of the sale that they got going on. I think that some of the brands, Striker, Eskimo, things like that are on sale. Augers, 13, I believe, Raj Reel and combinations are all on sale. So check them out online at therealshot.com or stop in store if you are looking for some great stuff. So we got some awesome stuff lined up here. We got to take advantage of some white fishing again with JJ's Guide Service. That one we're working on for next week. And then I'll be gone for the end of the month for February. We're going to replay the Poseidon. I'll actually be fishing with those guys down there. That's Hunter and Dustin over there at Poseidon. So I'll hopefully do some filming while my family and I are taking a little vacation in Florida. But then we roll right back in, and we're talking turkey hunting, man. It's March.
coming quick.
And it is. I am super, super stoked to be talking turkey hunting.
Yep.
So we got a lot of cool stuff. My goal is to try to be live in here every Wednesday, or have a show at least every Wednesday around this 5 o'clock time frame. So thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. You got someplace to go. You want to give a shout out to somebody?
Oh, my little sister got engaged yesterday, so we're going to go over to her house and celebrate. Really good guy. Don't have to threaten to bury him or anything. So, congratulations, John and Rich. It was awesome.
Cool. All right. Congratulations to those guys. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and enjoy the rest of your night.